Hello dear crypto friends and welcome to today's market analysis. It has been a brutal day. Everyone is asking himself or herself, was this the bottom for Bitcoin? Is the bloodbath over? Will we go up again or will we maybe even see lower lows? So let us try to analyze this situation and try to find out if this brutal dump is over. Now let us go as always into the long-term weekly chart. The weekly chart is always a very good starting point to get an overview of what is happening. As always, logarithmic y-axis, logarithmic regression trend channel. And let us go into the weekly picture here, zoom in a bit and try to understand what the hell is happening. So we had this breakthrough of this support line, right? I was saying if this support line breaks, it won't be too good, or if the weekly candle closes below it, which has happened. So we can now forever rule out our favorite situation, which would have been nice to play out, namely a running flat, right? A running flat kind of continuation pattern. This would have been nice. Obviously, this didn't happen. Why? Because the dollar just continues pumping. So now basically that this support line has broken, we try to understand what will happen next. And for me, there are now three major scenarios. Okay? I have drawn in the MA200, the weekly moving average 200, which has historically always functioned as a very good support, and the weekly moving average 290 because it was perfectly hit once during the COVID low in March 2020. So this is the furthest a wick can go down in a brutal flash crash, right? And now we would like to know, will we revisit the MA200 or will we even revisit the MA290? Because the MA290 currently sits at 16,600. So this would be quite insane to go to such low values, right? So let us try to understand what is happening. For that, I think I will have to load the volume. So the volume is already looking quite insane because we have only Tuesday now, right? Is it? Yeah, we have only Tuesday now. And the volume, the weekly volume is already as high as some other weeks, like complete weekly candles. So we are already at quite high volume, and the week isn't even 1/3 over. So this volume bar could go a lot higher, right? This volume bar could potentially go to quite high values, and volume is always a good indicator for a market bottom. So the volume is looking good, and we would like this support here to hold, right? This is the summer low of 2021. The lowest ever it was at 28,800. And yesterday we hit like 29,800 or 700, something like that. So we would like to know if this bottom holds. And in my opinion, guys, I'm sorry to say this, but for me it is quite unlikely that this support will hold. It is quite unlikely because Bitcoin normally never likes to hold a support that has been tested too often. If Bitcoin tests an area too often, in my experience, going back to all the times I remember, Bitcoin always broke through the support area, and we can also see this here. For example, in the whole of 2018, we retested the support too many times, right? We retested here the 6,000 range too many times, and then it broke down, and we had this brutal long stretched out bottom here in late 2018. This also happened here in 2014 at around 300, in the high 300s, right? We tested it quite a few too many times, and then it broke down to the $200 range and even went as low as $160. Now you might say that this here is an exception. I agree, this is an exception. Here the support was tested, I would say twice, but it didn't go as far low as here in this brutal crash of April 2013, right? So the situation here, I would say, is a bit different than now. But normally when Bitcoin, as we saw, tests a support too many times, and this is, I would say, already the fourth time that Bitcoin has tested, like once, twice, third time, fourth time, this support area. Actually, if you count this here in January 2021, we could even say the fifth time. So, you know, I would be surprised if this was already the low. I'm honest with you. I would be surprised if now this area here holds and we are just continuing to rally. This would be really weird, and it would also not make sense from a structural perspective, because that would be a really weird behavior which I haven't seen anywhere before. So I think now there are three very likely scenarios. The first scenario is that we just continue dropping now, that we just continue going down. Now, why would it be nice if Bitcoin would continue dumping now? I mean, am I crazy? Don't I want Bitcoin prices to go up? Yes, of course I want them to go up. And that is actually why I want it to dump, because this would be then a very good contender for an expanded flat correction. This whole structure here, you know, since late 2020, A, B, C, right? This could be an expanded flat correction, and expanded flat corrections in Elliott wave theory normally always lead to a rally afterwards, right? So what would happen? This is like A, B, C, and the C point is lower than A. And since A was already at 28,800, I suspect that C will be in the lower 20,000s. And since the MA200 normally held as very good support, I could imagine we visit the MA200 in the low 20,000s, right? Right now it's sitting at 22,000. So we could hit the MA200 and then go into a rally. That is why this is my favorite scenario, because from Elliott wave theory, an expanded flat correction normally leads to a rally, which is very unexpected to many people. It's like everyone is super bearish. It's like, oh God, game over, bear market, and then bam, rally. This would be quite typical of Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is always doing something unexpected, something that no one is expecting it. And that's why this market is so crazy. Bitcoin always changes the rules. You think you have understood the market, you think, now I'm smart, I have understood how Bitcoin works, and then suddenly the rules change. But of course, this is only one possible scenario. It is my favorite one, but we cannot expect it to happen, because this will depend on the dollar index. We said many times on this channel, only if the dollar index starts dumping, then can we expect the Bitcoin price to go up, right? So if the dollar starts dumping very soon, then yes, then we could go into an expanded flat correction and get a rally immediately after this low here. But if the dollar does not stop pumping and just continues pumping, right, goes to 105, 110 and even higher, then what will happen? Then, friends, I think we will go lower. And now there are also a few different scenarios what would happen. So in one scenario, the dollar pauses now for a while and doesn't go full berserk already now, but pauses a bit and then continues pumping at some point this year. In this scenario, we could get a bounce now, right? Because this is a strong area of support, as we said, and we could bounce, right? We could bounce. Everyone getting bullish, everyone is like, yeah, amazing, and then bwam, right? That would be also quite typical of Bitcoin. Makes a high in the 50,000s, everyone is turning super bullish again, and then it goes lower and still revisits the MA200 or even the MA290 in a flash crash type of scenario, similar to the one in March 2020. This is something I also could imagine. Then we bounce, and then it's already 2023, and at some point the dollar index will dump, and the next halving is also not far away anymore in 2024. So there are then good chances for a huge Bitcoin rally in 2023 if we get such a type of scenario. Okay, that is this scenario. It is quite likely we will have to see what happens now, if this turns into a bounce or not. As I said, the volume is looking not too bad, so this could turn into a bounce. But I said that for me, it is quite unrealistic that we just continue rallying right now and get an all-time high from this point until the end of the year. This would be super weird, and I don't think Bitcoin would do something like that, because Bitcoin wants to cause maximum pain for everyone, right? And this is not painful enough what Bitcoin is doing. So this is the second type of scenario I think is quite likely now. And of course, there's a third type of scenario which we all don't like. It's the ugliest one. I would say it's the ugliest one, because we don't get a rally and we don't get a bounce, and it just continues dropping like a stone to the MA290. If we just continue dropping like a stone to the MA 290 or MA 200, right, one of those two support lines, then I think we will just bounce a bit and then we will stay low for quite a while. We can completely forget anything amazing happening this year. We will probably just bounce around and be super bear market-ish, and then we are wobbling around in quite low regions. And then maybe in 2023 we will see new all-time highs, depending of course on when the dollar index will start correcting. So these are the three scenarios I'm seeing right now. Again, first scenario, expanded flat, right? Expanded flat, we visit the MA 200 and then we go into a rally. Second scenario, we hold these levels, here, we get a bounce, and then bam, we go unexpectedly low, and then we get a rally afterwards some point in early 2023. And the third one, of course, that we go down right now to the MA 200 or 290, we bounce around, we stay low, and then we pump at some point in 2023 or 2024. These are the three scenarios I'm seeing. Two of those I like. I like, of course, the most one, the green one here, the expanded flat. The second one is of course the bounce, because in this bounce at least we could see some nice action for altcoins, right? We could see some nice action for altcoins, because if we go up here summer like July, August, you know, in that range, we go again to 50,000, 55,000, maybe even the high 50,000s, you know, 58,000, something like that. And then we dump. At least here we could see some nice action in the summer for altcoins, you know. At least this would be some form of compensation for Bitcoin's ugly behavior. But the red one I think is the ugliest. If we go down just like a stone now to the MA 290, this would be quite ugly, friends. This would be quite ugly, because for me then this means a longer bear market type of situation, and then the rally would be also postponed. I don't think we would see a rally by the end of this year. Earliest then at some point in 2023. Earliest at some point in 2023. Of course, again, depending on the dollar index. So this stuff here, right? What does it depend upon? Well, it depends upon our good old friend, the evil dollar index, because this guy is just pumping like a crazy maniac, doesn't want to stop, right? It's the dollar index that is causing all this stuff, because we said a super strong dollar was always coinciding. If we just compare it, I know you cannot see it anymore. We have done this comparison so often, but for all the new viewers, so that the new viewers understand what I mean, we can clearly see a highly inverse correlation between Bitcoin and the dollar index. You know, every time the dollar index was low, Bitcoin was high. Dollar index low, Bitcoin new all-time high. Dollar index, Bitcoin low, dollar index high, Bitcoin high, dollar index low, Bitcoin high, dollar index high, Bitcoin dumping, right? So there's a very clear inverse correlation. So it will depend on macroeconomic events, on worldwide events. Bitcoin is very much tied to what is happening around the world. Bitcoin has become very much tied to geopolitical events that we cannot sometimes foresee. Black swan events, white swan events, more black swan events, to be honest, in the last years. Okay, let's hope that there will be a white swan event at some point. But you see, Bitcoin has become very, very correlated to external events, so many things are just not foreseeable. So the war in Ukraine, not many people did foresee this. So, you know, this was kind of an unexpected black swan, which makes now the dollar pump even more, which of course increases the selling pressure onto Bitcoin, right? So there are many things we cannot foresee right now, and we just have to wait. If the dollar index will dump now, then we could get lucky and we could stabilize and maybe even at some point see a rally. Although I have to say, I still believe in that case we would see an expanded flat correction and we revisit the MA 200 and then pump, because Bitcoin always wants to cause maximum pain, as we said. And here, if the dollar index continues pumping, then I think Bitcoin will do the red curve, the bear market curve, you know, and then we get a rally quite a lot later, earliest in 2023. And if the dollar index now pauses for a while and then continues pumping, then we could get a bounce type of scenario, right? or if the dollar does an intermediate correction and then continues pumping, then at least we could see a nice bounce in Bitcoin, which would be nice for the altcoin market. So this will depend on the dollar index, and this is my picture for Bitcoin. I see those three major scenarios. Of course, the expanded flat is my favorite one, that is clear, but the bounce is also not too bad. In that case, we can expect nice gains for the altcoins. So 2 out of 3 scenarios are not so bad, I would say. Only 1 of 3 scenarios is not nice. So the chances are not so bad that we at least get out of this market with some nice gains if you have altcoins from altcoins, or that you can sell Bitcoin at a nice bounce, or that we even get a nice rally towards the end of the year or early next year. Friends, I hope you found this video useful. If you did find it useful, please like this video and consider subscribing to this still new channel. I just now started uploading regularly. I didn't upload regularly at all in the last months. I always had other stuff to do, but I think right now the market is so insane and so fascinating that I decided to make daily videos. That's right, friends, daily videos on this channel. It is happening. It is happening. So I would be super happy if you would subscribe. We would be an illustrious small family of super smart crypto enthusiasts. Friends, thanks again for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.